This is your weekend market review for Friday, December 6th, 2024. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your weekend market review for Friday, December 6th, 2024, going into the weekend of the 7th and 8th. All right, we know next week we have CPI, PPI data. It might be an interesting week, but I mean, you're getting really close to the Fed meeting on the 18th of Wednesday, so I'm not really sure what to expect near term. Again, we're in an overbought position. Market's been choppy. Certain names are leading, certain names are lagging. Definitely saw some industrial / commodities / material names really taking on the chin this week, but then also saw, old tech leading. And again, the breadth has been rather confusing. But here's the thing, right? Whether you trust the market or not, it really doesn't matter. It just is what it is, and that you have to decide what is the best trade for you. So at this point, keep it simple, stupid. Define your risk, have your stops, know what you're doing, and just be careful. Again, we've seen some really good up and down trades for both sides. So again, if you have any questions, please reach out. Again, next week you have a little bit of earnings. You have Adobe on Wednesday. You got Avago, Costco, Red Hat on Thursday. You actually have GameStop on Tuesday. But the big thing is going to be the CPI and the PPI, in my opinion. Because, again, right now, if you look at what they're expecting, it's not coming down. It's looking pretty flattish on the way up. So, anyway, at this point, just please be careful. I mean, again, define your risk. Don't sit here and look for certainty. A lot of people are looking for the ultimate answer. And, again, the ultimate answer is do the best you can. Define your risk. Have stops, and know if your outcome's not working, let it go. It's okay. Again, I lose sometimes. You're going to lose sometimes. It's the nature of the beast. Again, you only need a bat 300 to get into the Hall of Fame. Trading, again, it's about minimizing losses. So if you want to join Discord room, link description below. Talked about if you want to chat, Calendly link. If you want to chat about real estate, trading, please hit me up. You get 2 agents for the price of 1 if you would like to work with myself and my team. Also follow Twitter, posting trades. Didn't really do too much the last 2 days, just kind of watching, waiting, in my opinion. It's at this point, if nothing's rolling, then I'm not going to really get, as we know, as the market sometimes going to get stuck in between big data points. So we'll see what happens. If you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I appreciate it. If you'd like to donate, thanks, or link in the description below. I appreciate you guys. Again, check out the website, tradingagent.com. Turn profits into properties and passive income. So we know there's the Fed meeting coming up. It's in the 70 to 60%. It's been kind of fluctuating. Again, the economic data is not good. And so I'm not surprised that the actual probability continues to rise, right? Feds are usually really late. They cut too early, cut too late. They raise too late, right? That's typically what they're doing. So we'll see what happens here. Bitcoin had an interesting day yesterday. Now holding up pretty well, so give it what it is. But I would use this candle range as a reference. Again, if you break 92,000, you're probably going to see lower prices. If we get up over 104,000, then we're good, right? I mean, at this point, it could be a choppy, sloppy range. I know that's not what people want to hear. Oil been kind of chopping around. And when I say chopping, like chopping its way back down, I know this is not actually updated. Pretty sure it's down more than that. Yeah, it's back towards the 67 level. So as we talked about, demand destruction is real. Economic activity, spurs demand. Not looking so hot, right? At the low end of range. Markets at highs and oil's getting cooked. Natty gas has been chopping around. Not much to say the last 2 or 3 days. Right. Let's get into it. The dollar broke the 20-day and then bounced back to the 20-day. It's now resistance. That's all I can really say on that. Be careful. Watching dollar volatility tighten up. TLT. We've talked about this double bottom, needing to get over these ranges. Now, I know the candle is red, but it's still making higher highs and higher lows. Just keep an eye on that, all right? The VIX, absolutely back to the 12s, right? What? That's pretty wild. So here it is. Keep an eye on it. And again, I think you're pretty much at extremes, but this is what's, we talk about the VIX bottoming first. Look at today's candle. It closed right back inside the ranges. And so it made a new low, but the VIX down 70 cents, this up 0.5%. Confusing? Dang right. It is a little confusing. So SPY guy, another doji. We talk about Again, a lot of people get mad and like, oh, job days are dojis. I mean, I feel like it's 90% of the time. Now, is it again, how do you define like a doji open, close, equal? No, I mean, it's just a kind of indecision. You have a range and you kind of open where you started. Looks like it. QQQs, on the other hand, did not play that game, right? We talked about the range high, channel highs. Keep an eye on it, right? People are flowing back into tech. All right, well, it's sustained. That's the question. IWM, again, certain tech, even not all tech, right? Talk about this lagging, right? 2-day range. Something doesn't look right. DIA has been holding up pretty well. Last day or two, no. Keep an eye on it. Again, this is where it gets a little confusing. Light volume, post-holiday week, waiting on Feds, maybe CPI. Again, we don't know what the ultimate catalyst to drive the market in the next direction. Again, gold going nowhere, right? Silver. I mean, I doubt these things are going to move until the Feds speak, right? Choppy range between 27, 28, 29. GDX, again, we talked about the miners should be rallying up. I mean, they look like dead money. And again, if they want to beat these into the end of the year or into next week, I wouldn't be surprised either. I just be careful. That's all. Again, sometimes there's certain things that you know, and then there's some things you don't know. And sometimes if you don't know, that means you just get out of the way. Talk about AEM popping back. Man, hitting resistance. Doink. AG. I mean, this thing is just chopping at the old trend line. Keep an eye on it. Newmont holding up pretty darn well. Not. I mean, again, it's hard to like fathom that the stock would be down here. And so if there is deep value, we talked about this yesterday. This should be the bottom, but man, it could chop around. But it also could get throttled. And this is where to me, it gets real scary. Could it get back to like the 30s? Again, the value makes sense here, but it's just the price action. Does it follow? Again, so if you did buy it at 40, 41, I mean, you can put a dollar stop. I think that's a really safe trade. Give yourself 0.5%. Not a big deal. Pass, just chopping around. Let's get into them. Taiwan Semi, they're going to have chips manufactured in Phoenix and then labeled in Taiwan. Okie dokie. All right, this one's a toughie right here. Now you're over the channel, broken out, but then today's action didn't follow through and you held the channel. Looks like a day where you just, scratch your head. Need more information, right? Micron, things been going nowhere fast. AMD, chopping around, going nowhere fast. NVIDIA said, hey, thought yesterday was a little bit of a sneaky game. You had your ex-div, and now you have looks like a left-right combo. Now, again, not aggressive, because if you really thought, and I'm not saying like really thought, if this stock was really going to pull back and more follow-through, I would like to have seen like a more of like a wild candle or a bigger candle. And you close right at the 20-day. So, again, I am bearish. Near term, we talked about bounces. Could we now get into choppish land? Ugh, the worst. Adobe, earnings next week. Interesting. It looks like it might go fill the gap. I mean, I don't know. And again, not all gaps fill in down moves, but shit, at this point, continuing to rip. Apple, keep an eye on it, right? We talked about it breaking out. I mean, this is what you hate is chop. Chop, 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 chop. Amazon, talked about how there's some bullish activity out there. Jay Souls was talking about, I said fibs. Like, it looked pretty strong. Continues to act strong. Again, congrats if you're on that trade. Meta, we talked about this one was an up trade, right? Getting up the channel highs, probably worth taking some profits. Near term, yeah. Solid trade if you played that from 550 up into the 6 teens, 20s, whatever. Solid, 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 solid. CRM, we've talked about the CRM. Gapped up on earnings. Inside now chopping. I mean, this has been a strong move, so do yourself a favor. Be safe. Guggenheim. Know some people took the 200-day moving average. I mean, you can't fight it. I mean, at this point, it seems to be stuck around the 20-day, but up is up. And the trade is currently, in between zones, but that's where you can trade low to high, high to low, low to high, all right? Mr. Softy, this one's been holding up pretty well after breaking the downtrend. I mean, could it fill the gap? Talked about that. Keep an eye on it. NDAQ, again, I still do not believe Nasdaq is the future at all, but holding 20-day, ex-div, worth an eye. MicroStrategy, again, this is essentially, as Saylor said, a 2 times ETF of Bitcoin. This is not promising to me. Now, again, maybe there's something out there we're not knowing, but I don't like the fact that Bitcoin makes new highs, gives that candle all back, and then has nothing today. So again, I would say watch the 20-day. Netflix holding up, man, again, mind-boggling. Can't much say it. It's looking strong. Roblox, we talked about this when it held the 48 area. Going back in time, right? It's a pretty important area. Now you're rallying back to old IPO levels. I mean, I'd be watching the mid 60s. Keep an eye on it. Again, it's a strong move. So manage your positions. Pan W, here we go. Talked about this, breaking out, back testing this level here, new highs. Said, hey, yes, even yesterday said, like, really need to close over this 407 area, 406. Man, right at it. So you need a little more information. But it could be playing like Tesla. This is what Tesla did, right? Gets up to the highs, backs off a little bit. Okay, boom. Okay, congratulations, bulls. Feels like 2021 all over again. That's a really strong move, right? 186 up to 410, 138 up to 390. Really strong move. Just be careful. That's all I can say. I mean, again, if you think it's going to 1,000, let the market prove you wrong. Does that make sense? Insight. Keep an eye on this. Watching. Palantir. I mean, here's one that's crazy, right? We talked about like never knowing when the top is. Watching the 8 and 10 day. There you go. Whew. Keep it simple, stupid. McDonald's. Interesting action because, again, you expect like it's going to break out and then gives it all back. Keep an eye on it. DKNG. People were giving a lot of flack on this about yesterday, and then look at today's action. Now, again, as a bear, at the reference, it's really tight stops. Like, I don't really want to see it make new highs. And then I can, if I have to, I go. But I like today's kind of wild lie action. It's like, okay, somebody's a little scared of something. Someone was definitely selling at the highs. Now, it came back, but keep an eye on it. Airbnb Bizzle, we've talked about this one, but bouncing back, keep an eye on it. Costco, chopping around at new highs. I mean, strength where strength is. Be careful, though. They have earnings next week. I mean, everybody's anticipating good, right? But we'll see if we get the follow through. Like, that's the question you have to ask after nice moves. Is the risk on, or is it worth pairing risk? Is it managing it? Your guess. I mean, again, if I had the stock, I'd probably sell some out of the money covered calls on it, just in case it like collect some premium. Starbucks, talked about this holding this like 100 area, chopping around. All right, is it breaking out? It doesn't really look like it. FedEx, yeah, we talked about shorting up here, looking good. I mean, now you are technically oversold, so could go chop. And when I say technically, I mean like near term, right? Like if you're trading like in the next couple days, you wouldn't be surprised. Caterpillar, again, fills the gap, has to hold the 50-day. Deere, this has been a really nice runner from like the 350, 340 range, right? Now it's pulling back. You see what I mean? Like in the industrial, some of the like material names, like even FedEx, like something doesn't look right. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Just keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. Nucor, as we've talked about, this one looks pretty ugly. Ugh. I mean, again, but it's materials. We've talked about, like, they're in big choppy ranges. Some are acting better than others. X, keep an eye on this, chopping around. I mean, again, they're going to get bought out or they're not. VALE, again, I like, as we talked about, like, you could probably buy VALE at this price long term, but it doesn't necessarily mean it can't go back to, like, what? I don't know. 3, 6, 7, I don't know. You pick the single digit number. It's pretty, man, this thing's pretty beaten. And again, if you're looking at global growth, like, Arrow, same thing. Copper, it doesn't look good. You mean junior copper is most leveraged version of, copper. Not looking so hot. CCJ has been holding up. Credit where credit's due. Right? But man, that's an interesting close. Right back at 61. What we talked about in the last couple of days needs to get over. Sneaky fudgers. CF, here we go. Like, hey, here we go. No bueno. No bueno. Mosaic, keep an eye on it. Chopping around, right? Chopping around. NTR, keep an eye on it, right? Chopping around. AA, this is interesting, right? Like, it looks like it's going to break out. Uh-oh. That gap. And again, like things today that you would think, economy's great. Like, why are some of these names getting throttled? We've talked about XLF holding up pretty well, but as of recent, pulling back, but it is still holding the 20 days. So technically, it's not really danger zone until it breaks that. JP Morgan, again, who's buying back their stock? I don't know. They're not. Why are you? Good question. Morgan Stanley Morgan holding up around the, the gap. We talked about this. Just keep an eye on it. It is below the 20-day. Bank of America, this one's been chopping around 20-day. Goldman Sachs, chopping, holding the 20-day again. Carry, thing got, just taken down from the highs. And it seems to be holding the 20-day, but things again, like, all right, let's see if these catch up. Because if they don't catch up, it says something. A risk-on name, again, Junior Bio's been chopping in a big range. Not a lot to say. Jets, there was a lot of call activity yesterday at the highs. Watching a 2-day range at 26. Keep an eye on it because you had volume, call volume, and you have a potential novice gap. Keep an eye on that one. That one makes sense. Like we've been talking about stalking that one, and this is what's so hard about trading, right? You see them before, then you got the pullback. Well, here you go. You get up. We'll see what happens again. I mean, this has been a really good run. But this is why shorting isn't for everyone. Sometimes it's just if you're long, take your profits and hang out. XHB, right? We talked about housing, chopping around, not following through, right? 125. It's interesting. Rates are going lower. What's the housing stocks done? Do you see why there's a lot of little micro confusions within the market? Now, again, it doesn't necessarily mean your position is going to be affected by it, but things that are going down haven't been floating up, right? They've just kind of just bleh, right? And that's what I was saying. Like it's a little tricky out there. Speaking of another sector like oversold rally, but then bleh, right? Solar, Sedge. Hey, look at that, 10 to 15. Boom. ENPH, chopping around at resistance for solar, hits some major moving averages, multi-day range at the 200-day, giving it back up. Again, HYG, I think you got to be out of your mind to buy corporate debt, but that's just my opinion. Keep an eye on it. Oil, as we continue to rally through, pull back again, as we talked about, back near kind of a range low. UNG, again, I hate this product. I think the KOLD short is the play. If you traded around it, hell yeah, 80 to 50, and now you're mid-range. It's tough to know. XOP, again, here's another name that you go, another sector you go, what's going on here? Whoa. Ooh. Again, I said yesterday, maybe test the gap, back test the trend line, fill the gap, keep an eye on it, right? CVE. I mean, again, I like these names, but I'm not going to jump into them. I'd like them to get pounded. Valero, we talked about the gasoline names, just not really leading up. MPC, same kind of thing, not really leading up. Got to be careful. ExxonMobil, this is one that's been holding, like, I don't know, near the highs. But then it just comes back, right? Again, Oxy, this is one that I thought would hold. But this is what's so hard is you're picking the bottom here, but it looks like a big consolidation range that might be, this would be, again, in my opinion, the best way to scoop these up is when if you break these, obviously break in and just let them puke these out. Oof, that would be awesome sauce. AQT, again, we talked about this one rallying up to the mid to upper 40s, pulling back now, right? Keep an eye on it, right? It's a big chop zone. I mean, I hate to say it, but it is. I mean, you can trade them, but just be careful. Last but not least, Flex LNG. Again, keep an eye on like natural gas exporters long term. Again, if you're new to the channel, you have questions, leave a comment. Appreciate the love, support, generous donations. Love to help you out with dealing with real estate. Now, again, going into next week, CPI, PPI, a little bit of earnings. Probably not going to go too far anywhere between now and like Wednesday, Thursday with the CPI and PPI. And then again, whatever those numbers are definitely going to affect how the Feds act on the 18th. So it's kind of feeling like a trader's market. So again, like guys in the Discord room, you got certain calls, you got certain puts, you got certain plays, looking good, cool. Don't force anything. And if you're not sure and something's not going anywhere and it's in a range, let it play out. I know that's hard. Be patient. You got this. All right. Talk to y'all later. Peace.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.